Some fuel injector cleaners should be banned. They thin fuel, strip lubrication, and push engines lean within 50 miles. That's how your $9 bottle turns into $1,900 injector replacements and misfires that won't clear. Never use these 9 fuel injector cleaners that destroy spray patterns, clog injectors, and overheat catalysts past 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit. Stay to the end for the 7 cleaners I trust work, starting with number 9, store brand injector cleaners. Someone grabs a bright little bottle from the auto aisle at a supermarket and hopes it'll fix a rough idle or poor mileage. On paper, it says injector cleaner. In reality, most store brand formulas are at best weak and at worst risky. The biggest issue is what's missing. Most reputable cleaners use polyethylamine, PEA, because it dissolves carbon deposits. Store brands usually skip it. Instead, they rely on light solvents such as alcohol or thin oils. Those might freshen things up for a short drive, but they don't properly clean injectors. I've pulled injectors after repeated use of cheap cleaners and found sticky residue, uneven spray patterns, and dried out seals. Alcohol-heavy mixes can harden rubber, harsh solvents can upset sensors, and loose debris can clog injectors rather than clear them. My rule is simple. If the label is vague, the bottle is flashy, and the price feels too good, walk away. Spend a little more on a proven formula and save yourself a bigger repair later. Cheap bottles fail quietly, but the next ones fail because they try to do too much. Number 8, Octane Booster Cleaner Combos. These are the bottles that try to be everything at once. Octane Booster and injector cleaner in one shot. I've had plenty of customers ask about them at the counter, especially when a car is knocking and feeling sluggish. Octane boosters and injector cleaners do 2 different jobs. A booster raises the fuel's resistance to knock. That helps underload or in high compression engines. A cleaner removes deposits so fuel sprays correctly again. When a product blends both, one side is usually weaker. Most combo bottles focus more on boosting octane than actually cleaning injectors. I've seen these help short-term knocking, but they rarely fix rough, idle, or poor mileage caused by dirty injectors. Some all-in-one formulas, like those from well-known brands, can offer mild cleaning plus a small octane bump. They're fine for light maintenance, not real problems. If you hear knock, use a proper booster. And if performance feels lazy, use a real injector cleaner. Mixing jobs often means mediocre results. When one bottle tries to fix 2 problems, neither gets fixed. And the next product isn't even trying. Number 7, water removers. That little yellow bottle by the register looks harmless, cheap, and helpful. But I can tell you from experience that it's one of the fastest ways to dry out a fuel system without realizing it. Most of these products are almost pure methanol. Yes, methanol absorbs water and strips everything along the way. It removes lubrication from injectors and fuel pumps, dries out rubber seals, and hardens O-rings. I've opened fuel pumps where the seals crumbled in my fingers, and the owner had been using water removers regularly. Modern gasoline already contains ethanol, which safely handles small amounts of moisture. Adding more alcohol on top doesn't fix a problem. Instead, it creates one because these products neither clean injectors nor dissolve carbon. They simply dry the system and leave wear behind. If water is truly your concern, use a modern stabilizer designed for today's fuel systems. Those yellow bottles belong in the past, not your tank. Drying out a fuel system feels harmless, but hiding problems is worse. Number 6, lubricity-only additives. Every time I hear someone say, "I just wanted the engine to run smoother," I already know what bottle they grabbed. These lubricity-only additives sell comfort, not solutions. They quiet things down just enough to make you think the problem is gone, and that's where they get dangerous. Most of these products are built around light mineral oils or carrier oils. They coat injectors, valves, and upper cylinders, which can reduce noise and friction short term. But here's the part nobody tells you. They do not remove carbon. Dirty injectors stay dirty. You've just greased over the problem. I've pulled injectors that looked shiny on the outside but still sprayed like a garden hose on mist. That oily film traps more dirt, and when it burns, it can foul spark plugs and stress oxygen sensors. Over time, that residue can even contribute to catalytic converter issues. Lubrication helps prevent wear. It does not restore performance. If the engine feels lazy, rough, or inefficient, you need a cleaner that dissolves deposits, not one that hides them under oil. Smoother running can be an illusion. Now let's talk about bottles that smell powerful and damage quietly. Number 5. Alcohol-heavy injector cleaner mixes. If you crack open one of these bottles, your first thought isn't, "Is this safe?" It's, "Wow, this has to work. The smell is sharp, chemical, almost aggressive. I hear it all the time in the shop." Anything that smells like that has to be cleaning something. That moment of confidence is exactly where the mistake starts. Alcohol-heavy injector cleaners don't announce failure with smoke or warning lights. They work quietly, stripping and drying the fuel system little by little, long after the bottle is empty. Alcohol-based mixes lean heavily on isopropanol, ethanol, or methanol. Yes, alcohol can absorb moisture. Yes, it can loosen light grime, but it cannot dissolve hardened carbon the way proper detergents do. What it does do is dry out seals, stiffen O-rings, and weaken plastic components over time. Worse, alcohol adds oxygen to combustion. That pushes engines lean, raises temperatures, and invites knock. For emergency water removal, alcohol has a place. As an injector cleaner, it's a slow, expensive mistake. That was alcohol doing damage quietly. Now let's look at what happens when people double down and add even more of it on purpose. Number 4, ethanol-heavy cleaners. If ethanol were the answer, modern fuel systems would already be spotless. Instead, I keep seeing the same cars come back on the hook after someone decided to double down on ethanol with a cleaner. The logic sounds smart at first. Ethanol cleans. Fuel already has ethanol, so more must be better, right? That assumption has paid for a lot of injector replacements in my shop. Ethanol is a strong solvent. It can strip varnish and gum. The problem is how it does it. Ethanol doesn't dissolve carbon deposits the way proper detergents do. It loosens them. Those particles then move straight into injectors, filters, and sometimes the catalytic converter. Ethanol is also hygroscopic. It pulls water into the fuel system, which invites corrosion in tanks, rails, and injectors. Then there's combustion. Ethanol adds oxygen to the mix, which pushes engines lean and drives temperatures higher. Ethanol already comes with the fuel, piling more on rarely ends well. When more solvent still doesn't fix the problem, some formulas reach even further back, and that's how kerosene ends up in the mix. Number 3, kerosene-based cleaners. That old-school smoky smell some injector cleaners give off isn't confidence. It's nostalgia, pretending to be chemistry. Kerosene had a place decades ago, back when fuel systems were simple and tolerances were loose. But modern engines hate that stuff. And yet kerosene keeps sneaking into cheap injector cleaners because it's affordable and sounds industrial enough to fool people. Here's the reality. Kerosene is a mild solvent, not a true cleaner. It doesn't contain PEA, the only detergent proven to dissolve hard, baked-on carbon. So instead of cleaning injectors, kerosene nudges deposits loose. Those bits don't burn off. They move through the system, clog filters, jam injectors, and can even choke the catalytic converter. Kerosene also has an extremely low octane rating. Add it to gasoline and you dilute the fuel. Over time, seals dry out, plastic lines weaken, and leaks appear where they shouldn't. Kerosene doesn't clean modern engines, it confuses them, and bills follow. Let's move to the next group that doesn't age out. It over-attacks, and that's where real damage starts. Number 2, harsh solvent cocktails. Some bottles don't promise cleaning. They promise war, extra strength, deep purge, and maximum burn. And that's usually your cue to slow down. Harsh solvent cocktails are injector cleaners built around aggressive chemicals like xylene, acetone, toluene, and heavy alcohol blends. Popular examples include products similar in makeup to cataclean-style exhaust and fuel cleaners. The problem is, these solvents don't gently dissolve carbon. They strip carbon off surfaces instead of dissolving it. The loosened debris doesn't burn away. It travels through the fuel system, clogs injectors, fouls spark plugs, and overloads the catalytic converter. And the damage doesn't stop there. Acetone and xylene are brutal on rubber seals, O-rings, plastics, and sensor coatings. Oxygen sensors hate them, fuel trims go wild. Check engine lights become regular guests. Yes, these products can make a car feel better at first. That's the illusion. They knock deposits loose instead of cleaning them, and that shortcut often turns into expensive repairs later. Harsh solvents at least admit they're aggressive. The next ones are worse. They hide the damage behind shiny promises and miracle claims. Number 1. Miracle bottles. This is where marketing completely jumps the rails. One bottle claims it cleans injectors, fixes rough idle, restores fuel economy, stabilizes fuel, lubricates valves, and somehow cures emissions issues too. Whenever I see that kind of promise, I already know how the story ends. Nothing that does everything does any one thing well, especially inside a modern fuel system. Most of these miracle bottles hide behind vague labels, no clear ingredient list, no proper MSDS, and almost always no PEA, which is the only detergent proven to safely dissolve carbon. Instead, you get a mystery cocktail of light oils, alcohol, or cheap solvents that feel active but don't actually clean injectors. At best, they do nothing. At worst, they interfere with sensors, thin fuel too much, or loosen debris that creates new problems downstream. If a bottle won't clearly tell you what's inside and doesn't list PEA, leave it on the shelf. Engines don't need miracles. They need chemistry that actually works. The 7 fuel injector cleaners that work. Number 7. Seafoam IC5. When the goal is steady upkeep rather than a full-blown rescue, Seafoam IC5 is a top choice I recommend. That isn't a bring-it-back-from-the-dead cleaner. It's a maintenance tool, and it knows its role. IC5 uses a mild petroleum formula, which means it actually dissolves light carbon instead of knocking it loose and hoping for the best. That matters, especially in newer engines that don't have years of buildup yet. I like IC5 for cars that run fine but could run better. This is the kind of cleaner I've seen smooth things out without upsetting sensors or seals. It works gradually through normal driving, making it safe to use more regularly than aggressive cleaners. Another plus is compatibility. It's safe for gasoline direct injection, GDI engines, turbo motors, and modern emission systems. Seafoam IC5 is for preventative maintenance. It won't shock your engine, but it'll keep problems from piling up. Great for staying ahead of problems. The next one is for when you want to clean and protect simultaneously. Number 6. Lucas Deep Clean. When I want something that cleans and protects without drama, this is one I reach for. Lucas Deep Clean feels like a proper tune-up in a bottle, not a gamble. It's built to do a few things well, and it sticks to that mission. The formula uses real detergents to break down carbon in injectors, intake valves, and combustion chambers. As carbon clears out, fuel burns cleaner and more completely. That's where the gains come from. Smoother throttle response, less knocking and pinging, and MPG that creeps back up instead of sliding the wrong way. What I appreciate most is the lubrication side. While it's cleaning, it's also protecting injectors, pumps, and upper cylinders. That's huge for daily drivers and high-mileage engines that don't need abuse to get results. I've seen it calm noisy combustion and even improve emissions figures by reducing nitrogen oxide output. It won't resurrect a neglected disaster overnight, but used regularly, it keeps engines efficient, quiet, and happy. Solid protection is one thing. The next cleaner is designed for engines with some miles and needs stronger carbon removal to catch up. Number 5. Gumout Regain High Mileage. Once engines cross the 75,000 mile mark, problems change. And this is where Gumout Regain High Mileage earns its place in my good books. What separates it from lighter cleaners is the PEA concentration. This stuff doesn't just freshen things up, it removes baked-on carbon from injectors, intake valves, piston tops, and combustion chambers. I've used it on engines with rough, idle, lazy throttle response and cold start hesitation, and watched those issues calm down over a single tank. Another thing I respect is how it treats older hardware. The formula conditions fuel to reduce friction in the upper cylinders, which matters when tolerances aren't factory tight anymore. It also helps fight ethanol and moisture corrosion, a quiet killer in high mileage fuel systems. The gains feel real because power comes back, MPG settles down, and emissions drop because the engine burns fuel the way it should. This is a reset button for aging engines that still have life left. Used every few thousand miles, it keeps wear from turning into repairs. Once buildup is under control, the next step is restoring crisp response and smooth power. Number 4. Royal Purple Max Clean. Some cleaners feel like a gamble, but this one feels like a smart move. I've poured Max Clean into cars that came into the shop feeling flat, hesitant, and just plain tired. Nothing was broken, but you could tell the engine wasn't happy. By the end of that tank, the change was obvious. Throttle response sharpened up, idle settled down, and the car stopped feeling like it was dragging its feet. The reason it works is simple and proven. Max Clean uses a strong dose of PEA, the detergent that actually dissolves carbon rather than just breaks it loose, and hopes it exits cleanly. As that buildup breaks down, injectors regain a clean, even spray pattern. When that happens, power returns, and MPG stops drifting all over the place. I also like how well-rounded this cleaner is. It helps lower emissions like carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and hydrocarbons because cleaner combustion leaves less junk behind. It reduces spark plug fouling, helps calm knock, and even stabilizes fuel for cars that sit. That one focuses on balance and smoothness. The next cleaner is about hitting harder and delivering results fast. Number 3. Amsoil Performance Improver. Every once in a while, a car that feels strong but runs weak on the road comes into my shop. And this is the bottle I reach for to bring back engines in a single tank. What makes it work is a highly concentrated detergent package built to clean everything fuel touches. Injectors, intake valves, combustion chambers, and even the fuel rails are properly scrubbed. As deposits dissolve, spray patterns tighten up, combustion evens out, and the engine finally stops fighting itself. That's when horsepower comes back and fuel economy starts behaving again. Another thing I respect is how quickly it works. I've watched drivability improve within a few hundred miles. Cold starts get easier. Throttle response sharpens. Knock and that rattly carbon noise fades away because the hot spots causing it are gone. It also helps engines pass emissions tests by lowering hydrocarbons, carbon monoxide, and nitrogen oxides. When you compare the price to a professional injector cleaning, this one feels like money well spent. That one brings engines back to life fast. The next step goes even deeper, targeting the buildup most cleaners never reach. Number 2. BG Platinum 44K. After tearing down all the junk that causes more harm than good, the conversation changes. BG Platinum 44K is one of the few injector cleaners I've seen consistently do what the label claims without gambling with the fuel system. When a car feels rough, hesitates under load, or starts stumbling with no clear fault codes, this is one I trust. What sets it apart is how thoroughly it cleans. This isn't just an injector rinse, it goes after carbon in the injectors, intake valves, combustion chambers, and even oxygen sensors. As that buildup dissolves, injectors regain proper flow and spray evenly again. Fuel atomizes correctly, combustion stabilizes. That's when power is restored, and fuel economy improves. It's especially effective on modern GDI engines where carbon builds quickly and quietly wrecks drivability. I've seen misfires disappear and idle smooth out after one tank. It's simple to use, professional grade, and proven. This is what a real fuel system cleaner looks like. Used the right way and on schedule, this is the kind of cleaner that helps engines stay clean enough to see 500,000 miles without major repairs. And if you want to know the other habits that actually get cars to that mileage mark, check out that video on your screen right now. Number 1. Chevron Techron Concentrate Plus. Long before injector cleaners turned into a shelf full of flashy bottles and wild promises, Techron had already set the bar. It earns the top spot because it didn't copy what others were doing. It helped create the formula, then spent decades proving it through real testing and everyday use. At its core is a proven polyethyramine blend that dissolves carbon instead of breaking it loose and hoping it burns off. As deposits fade, injectors regain a clean, even spray, and intake valves start to clear. Combustion also becomes smoother and more controlled. That's why engines feel calmer, throttle response improves, and MPG settles after just one tank. What truly locks in its number one spot is consistency. Automakers have been pointing people toward it for years, and fleets keep using it because it delivers the same results tank after tank. In the shop, I've seen it smooth, rough, idle, clear hesitation, and slow repeat buildup when used on schedule. It's simple, predictable, proven, and does exactly what it's supposed to do. You now know which injector cleaners wreck engines and which ones actually work. But don't stop here. I have another video that breaks down things you must never do before refueling. Click the video to avoid these deadly mistakes.